Welcome future developers in lesson 5. Today we are going to learn about one of the most crucial concepts in programming. Last time we talked about conditional statements, and today we are going to add this last piece what you need to be able to program absolutely everything. Loops are used when there is some operation which needs to be repeated several times in situation that you would be forced to duplicate the code. Imagine that you want to write numbers between 1 and 10. You can write the code print 1, print 2, print 3, print 4, but that's not a good way to do it. If you take a closer look, the print is always there, only the number is changing. There is a better way to do it. You can keep the print as it is, and the number can be variable. The variable can be modified in the loop and used in the print all over again. And let's say that the maximum number should be given by user. In this case, you don't even know how many times you should use the print command. And really there is no other way to do it but using loop. No other way. First type of loops is used when you know in advance how many repetitions do you need. It is for loop. And as common in Python, the syntax is very easy. Imagine here that you have a bunch of levels and you want to do something for every specific level. The use of brackets is a little sneak peek to the next lesson when we are going to talk about list. For now, just take it as a variable, which is there to store several identifiers next to each other, the identifier here being strings, separate words. For level in levels. Whatever is in the body of for cycle is going to be repeated. And it is going to be repeated with respect to variable level. Variable level is going to have values from the levels list, one after another. First will be forest, and when I run the code, you can see loading forest level. Actually, all of the others. These two lines of for loop saved us many lines. The magic here is in the fact that you can extend the list for more words as you wish. As we discussed before, you might need some specific number in for loop. For this, you can use range. For I in range 5. Range 5 give you integer numbers between 0 and 4. So 5 of them. We can print the I, and when I run it, you see the numbers. You can use range even if you need to be more specific, like between 1 and 5. You can even choose step. If I choose 2, it will be 0, 2, 4, and so on. And if you need to count backwards, you can use range and step -1. If you don't know in advance for how long your loop should run, you can use while. While is different in a way that you're gonna specify a condition, and the loop is going to be repeated as long as the condition is true. If you saw some other videos in my channel about Python projects, you saw game loop, and that's one of the examples of the while loop. You are repeating some operations that long as the game is running, and you really don't know in advance how long it will be. Using for would be a little bit clunky. Typically I have player and player's health. Something's happening in the loop, depends on the player, but when the player health reaches 0, I can jump out of the game, for instance. In some specific situation, you might need to break the loop, or just to continue the loop, don't process the lines which are below some specific point, but start from scratch. For this we have two keywords, break and continue. If program reach break, it's gonna jump out of the loop. And if your program reaches continue, it is going to start the current iteration from the beginning. It's also very common to nest the loops together. If you have some two-dimensional map, you can have one for loop for x dimension and the second one for y dimension. Time for a project. Now you know literally everything what is necessary to make anything you want. So let's put these basic principles together. What's going to happen if we combine loops, conditional statements, and, working with variables? We get something which really is a computer game. Let's run it. Welcome to the Python Dungeon adventure. Health 100, gold 0. What would you like to do? Explore the dungeon, rest to regain health, exit the dungeon. I want to explore the dungeon. You venture deeper into the dungeon. You encounter a goblin. Do you want to fight? I want to fight. You defeated a goblin. You lost 10 health but found 5 gold. You encounter an orc. Do you want to fight? I don't want to fight an orc. You run away. You encounter a troll. Do you want to fight? Why not? You defeated the troll. You lost 10 health but found 15 gold. You encounter a dragon, and we can fight the dragon as well. You defeated the dragon. You lost 10 health but found 20 gold. Health 70, gold 40. What would you like to do? Explore, rest, exit. I'm going to rest. You rest and recover 10 health. So now my health is 80, still have 40 gold, and, well, I'm going to exit the dungeon. You decide to leave the dungeon with your loot. Final stats, health 80, gold 40. Thanks for playing Python Dungeon Adventure. Okay, it doesn't look bad. Let's analyze the code. I run it again. Let's check out the variables. We have player health, 100. Player gold, we start with 0. We have a monsters as a list of them. Goblin, orc, troll and dragon. And here's a flag remembering if player is alive. Here is a print, welcome to the Python Dungeon Adventure, as you can see here. And here is a main game loop. The visualization of loops in Visual Studio really helps you to understand how your program and how your loops are structured and organized. I have while player alive, and that makes sense. I want to play as long as player is alive. The while ends here. You can see this white line coming down. I can collapse the whole loop and see what's below it. It might be useful. We're gonna take a look inside. Here is my status, health and gold, as you can see here. Here are my controls. What would you like to do? Explore the dungeon, rest to regain health, exit the dungeon, as you can see here. I'm letting user to choose and save his or her choice to the choice variable. If choice is equal 1, I know that the user wants to explore the dungeon. For this case, I have this branch. I print a string, and here I have a for loop. I have a variable monster, which is going to be associated with every single element in my monsters list. So in the first cycle, it will be for goblin, and the second cycle, it will be for orc, for troll after that, for dragon in the end. If player health is lower or equal than 0, I can break from the loop because the player is dead. If everything is alright, you encounter a monster, which will be the active element from the list. I'm asking if player wants to fight, yes or no, and the choice is saved to fight choice variable. As you know from the previous lesson, it is always good to use lower function. It can be here, or as before, it can be a part of the input, depends on you. By the way, it's almost always better to put it here after input. I just wanted to show something different. If we want to fight, we're gonna lose 10 health. Amount of gold what player is going to get will be computed from the index of the current monster in the monsters list, and because the indexing starts from 0, we're gonna add 1 to it. We are fighting with goblin right now, and the goblin has index 0. It gives us 0 plus 1, which is 1, times 5, it's 5. So for the first fight, we're gonna have 5 golds. And we are going to increase the amount of gold what player has by the gold found from the monster. Here are 2 messages. You defeated the monster, you lost 10 health but found gold. And here we are going to fight the goblin. You defeated the goblin, you lost 10 health but found 5 gold. And now this loop starts again, but for the second monster from the list, and it will be orc. See? Let me make it fast. No. Now we have troll. No. We move to dragon, and no for it. You run away, and as you can see, this part of code was dedicated to choices. We jumped here, asking if player health is less than 0, print a message, your health has reached 0, game over, and player alive will be false. And because it is not, the while loop is going to repeat itself. Player health and player gold. What would you like to do? Now I'm going to choose option 2. If choice is 1, we tried this last time, else if choice equals 2. If player health is less than 100, add 10. If player health is more than 100, don't do anything, just keep it 100. Previous run I had 90. I took some rest and now I have 100. And this was everything to do in this branch, so we jumped here again, quick check for the health, and we are back. I will choose 3, which brings us here. You decide to leave the dungeon with your loot. You decide to leave the dungeon with your loot. I call break to jump out of the while loop. And now we have the end. Final stats, health, gold, player gold, and we are thanking the player for playing. In principle, this is very easy to do, and it's also very easy to extend. Try to be creative, add more things, add more complicated math. As I see it, the beautiful way how you can optimize the game and make it better can be here. the amount of gold what you can get from the monster based purely on its index might not be good enough. And here is the thing, that we are always decreasing the amount of player health by 10. Maybe this could be dependent on the creature itself. We can expect that Goblin is probably not that dangerous as Dragon. The options here are limitless. And that would be all for today. As I mentioned at the beginning, now you know literally everything what you need to know to program anything you want. I made a video explaining this idea. It's related to Turing machines and, well, Alan Turing. You know conditional statements, you know loops, and you know variables and how to work with them. The other 5 lessons we have in front of us are there to make your life easier, to introduce interesting data structures to help you with your algorithms. Because yes, you can do everything you want with the knowledge you already have. It would be pretty tedious to make something bigger with only this. Not impossible though. And that would be it for real. If you like what you saw, just don't forget to subscribe, and see you next time.